eyeballs and ghouls. Feeling so much better. Got over that cold. I'm so happy that Zombies Ate My Neighbors, a favorite game of mine from the SNES, is on Nintendo Switch. I bought that shit instantly. Instant buy. We got the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC trailer and release date today. That's fantastic. Now all that fantastic stuff is gonna come to a fucking end with Critters 4 from 1992. Now this surprised me when I was looking it up real quick here. Brad Dourif is in this. We have Don Opper, who plays Charlie. Anne Ramsey is in this in some role. Angela Bassett is in this. So there's good actors in this movie. And they filmed this back-to-back with Critters 3. So this Critters 3 came out in 91, so this is 92. So the year after. So we left off in the basement of the apartment complex in Los Angeles with Charlie, with the two critter eggs are the only ones left in existence, and the Intergalactic Space Federation, whatever the fuck it is, says you can't destroy a species completely. So he had to put them in a telepod, a big-ass telepod that just crashes through the whole apartment complex. All of LA isn't going to know that some crazy shit went down, but apparently in this one, we go to outer space. So get ready for Critters 4. Critters Go to Space. I've never seen this one, and 5, and the little miniseries. So this is like a little blind watch me watch. I just never label blind watches like that anymore. So yeah, this is directed by Rupert Harvey, who co-wrote Critters 3. So then I guess since they were filming them simultaneously, they just had, what was it, Peterson, the girl's last name, who filmed 3, had her film that one while he was filming this one. Now what's strange is, when I was reading into this a little bit, it says that this one tries to be a more darker, less comedic film than the previous entries. Which is strange that it was filmed at the same time as Critters 3 and how comedic that movie is. I wonder how much darker or less comedic this one's going to be. You don't hear that often for movies, sequels that are filmed at the same time or back to back. Look at Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3. Imagine if one was the campy, awesome, hilarious one that we have in like Sleepaway Camp 2, and then 3 was dark as shit and just serious tone like the first movie. Doesn't happen often, so I'm very interested to see, first of all, how Charlie gets into space. This is in like 2040 or something like that. So how is he still alive? I'm sure they'll think of a good idea, actually, for that. I did forget to mention this at the end of Critters 3. I do like the line at the end from Charlie when Ugg's hologram is telling him about, the intergalactic law and that you can't exterminate these eggs because it would cause the whole species to become extinct. And Charlie goes, "Oh, well, yeah, but they're bad. Like, you taught me how bad they are." That's funny as hell. And because we get a recap here at the very beginning. And that really made me laugh again, and I forgot to mention it last time. Alright, so after that whole recap of the ending of Critters 3, Charlie, the lovable idiot that he is, retardedly gets into the space pod and gets cryogenically frozen. And that's how he's around in 2045. That's the year, not 2040. So 2045, Charlie's frozen, and he's going to be good old Charlie, not changed a bit, hasn't aged a day when he gets thawed out. Even though I am laughing at it, because it is crazy, it's good. Like, it's acceptable. Like, I accept that. And that's been like a running theme with this series. I don't want to keep comparing to the Ghoulies franchise, but it's very hard not to. How can you not? Especially since those two were the longer running ones of many creatures, since we only got 2 gremlins, and a Munchies, and a Hobgoblins, and those 2 movies, they might be fucking coming soon too. That way I never have to come back to this subgenre ever again. The subgenre of tiny terrors. Again, like the third one, this was direct to video, and it shows. Like, all the stuff in space at the beginning, and then you see, like, a guy in a spaceship, but it's filmed from the side, and you just see a screen with stars behind a fake spaceship that he's in. It looks very, very, very cheap. Guy we open up with, his name is Albert, and he's just chilling in this spaceship, this fake-ass looking one, and he says he's got 20 more days. He's like, just 20 more days. So he's got to sit there in space, like, and just watch shit go flying by for 20 days. Imagine what it would be like to be in space by yourself in a spaceship, and it looks stationary, like a state police officer waiting to pull someone over. And that's basically exactly what happens. He ends up seeing the pod go by that Charlie's in, his frozen ass body, and he ends up going and getting the pod, and they end up bringing it onto their spaceship. And don't forget, it's got 2 critter eggs, the last 2 in existence. So I have a pretty good idea where the plot of this movie's going. If you think about it, the premise for this movie is identical to Jason X, except for the fact that Charlie, the protagonist, gets cryogenically frozen. Well, I mean, the critter eggs are in there with him, so they're frozen too. Yeah, so they're frozen, taken to space, then they're going to hatch and wreak havoc, kill everybody. Jason gets cryogenically frozen. He goes, gets discovered by a spaceship. They bring him on board. They thaw him out, and he kills everybody. Man, Critters 4 was ahead of its time. The mind-blowing thing, after he gives us some nice exposition that he has a father, and he just says to himself, "See you soon, Dad." He's marking off his calendar to when he gets to go back to whatever planet he's from. Is there an Earth anymore? I don't even know. But I think it's hilarious. He has a TV in his spaceship. And he's sitting there, he puts headphones on, he's watching some black and white movie in 2045. This kid's maybe a teenager. He doesn't look like a cinephile. He doesn't look like a movie maniac or anything like that. Why is this kid watching a black and white film in 2045? It just goes to show you, the classics never go out of style. So remember Albert, the kid? Forget all about that, because his name ain't Albert. His name's Ethan or something. He's like a young engineer on the spaceship. Albert is Brad Dourif, who's the captain of the ship. And he still sounds like Chucky a bit every time I close my eyes and listen to his voice, no matter what movie it is. Then we have Angela Bassett playing the pilot. Her name is Fran, in case it was bothering you. We got the same guy who plays Ugg in all these movies. I forget, Terrence something. So like I said, the cast is good. Like, this is a solid cast. So if this turns out to be just god-awful, which is how I was feeling Critters 3 was going to be at the very beginning of that watch, and like I said, that was nowhere near as bad as everyone's making it out to be, that I've heard from so many people. Critters 3 was fine. It was just boring as shit, and I'll never watch it again. Let's see how bad and how low they can go from there. Because if this movie really tanks in quality and bombs, it'll be even more of a shame because of the cast that we have here. So remember what I said about Brad Dourif, Albert being the captain? Forget all about that. He's not the captain. The captain is Captain Rick, and I'm not making this up, I swear. Buttram is his last name. I swear to you. Why? If you had the choice of any name for your character in your film, Buttram? But Captain Buttram is who we're flying with here on the spaceship. And he seems like a bit of a douchebag. Now, if I would have written this, Captain Buttram wouldn't be on a spaceship. He'd be in alternate reality Anderson Cooper's 80s gay nightclub. But I didn't write Critters 4. So I will say off the bat, the acting's fine in this. Like, it's good. And it damn well should be. We have Leo Johnson from Twin Peaks. And Twin Peaks Fire Walk with me in this too. So, yeah, he's a douchebag, Captain Buttram. Because it's Buttram, but we're going with Buttram. That's how it's spelled. So you're not going to argue with me on that one. They end up getting the pod. And Captain Buttram just instantly says, like, oh, check if it's stolen, and he wants to make money off this. So then some intergalactic overlord or some shit, it's out there. He shows up on the TV and says, thank you so much, I want to congratulate you, and thank you for finding something we lost a long time ago. And Captain Buttram, he's starting to get all ready with the money. He's like, yeah, how grateful are you? It's some funny stuff. So Angela Bassett, she's the pilot. She's against this. She's like, no, yo, it's their pod. Just give it to them. And they are compensating them. So I forget what they said, how much. And it's probably in some weird space language anyway. That's not real dollars or anything. So it doesn't matter. But Captain Buttram wanted to go just unload it for 10 times as much. And they pretty much took a vote between everybody. And it was 3-2. So they put the TV back on. They said like, oh, sorry, we're getting a bad connection. so they can talk about it in private. And this guy just waits there for like 5 minutes while they're talking. You could just picture him waiting there, staring at the thing, waiting for the signal to come back in. Doesn't know that they're talking behind his back. And then they bring him up and say, well, we're going to have to, meet up with your ship. He says, it's already been arranged. We'll see you soon. And he warns them, please don't let any of the people on your crew mess with or tamper with or try to open the capsule in any type of way. And they say, understood. They're not good listeners. Maybe it was just the screen for when, in the very beginning, when the younger guy, forgot his name already, was sitting in the lower part, like his crib, and watching the black and white movie. Maybe it was just the screen they were using for the stars and stuff, made it look real cheap, because the rest of the spaceship here looks pretty good. Like, for whatever the hell the low budget was on this, it's a pretty good looking spaceship. So they end up flying to this spaceship that they got to meet up and drop this capsule off. And when they get there, nobody there. Except for a computer named Angela. And it doesn't work. The computer's all fucked up. And the only way to get answers out of it is to ask, like, the opposite. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with this. And it's so slow. Like, we're a half hour into this movie. I'm ready to blow my brains. We get to see the silhouette of a young naked Angela Bassett. And then we get to see the non-silhouette naked young Angela Bassett, that's a positive. Alright, not the worst first kill here. And it's Captain Buttram. So they knew to take his ass out immediately. He goes snooping around the pod because he plans on just taking whatever's in there. They don't know what's in there yet. And just splitting and leaving the whole crew so he can make mad money. So he's messing around. And it is Ethan, the youngest dude. He ends up coming and he sees what he's doing, but Buttram, he's ready. He takes the fucking fire extinguisher, smashes this guy in the face, knocks him unconscious. But then Charlie gets out of the pod when Buttram opens it. And then Charlie, I don't know how he forgets it, and he's fine. Like this, he comes out fine. He's not frozen or anything. He just comes out completely normal. So when does it stop freezing him? Was he floating around space for years unfrozen? Or does, like, the freezing process stop as soon as you open the door and you're instantly unfrozen? Because I don't know how any of that works. But he forgets about the eggs. And he goes, oh, the eggs. And it's too late. Buttram already opened it. And then a baby critter jumps into his mouth. He's running around. He's pushing Charlie out the way. Whoa, whoa. He can't breathe and shit. He ends up just collapsing and dying. Not the best way to go out for Buttram. But they got 2 critters now that hatch from those 2 eggs. So is there a way they multiply or something? Because 2 critters should not be a hard task to take out. For 5 minus 1 now. 4 people on this spaceship. How's the critters look? Honestly, I couldn't even goddamn tell you. Because we're halfway through this movie. And that's the first instance that we saw the critter. Is when he jumped into the guy's throat. Buttram, and now he's dead. You don't see anything. You see it looks like they're using a lot of usage of shadows and stuff to hide the puppets. You could tell with the budget this movie probably had, even though it was shot side by side with 3, I mean, the puppetry still looked great in that for the most part. So, I mean, maybe for this one they were running out of money. They decided, all right, we're going to have to hide the puppets and the critters as much as possible in the darkness. So after Ethan gains consciousness back, him and Charlie end up meeting up with everybody else, and Charlie just gives a whole rundown of what the Crites are and what the critters are and that he kills them and gives us a whole rundown of the series, basically. And, of course, they do not believe him. Leo from Twin Peaks just, like, storms off, yeah, bullshit, and he just walks away. Then we get this whole confusing, it feels so forced, and it feels like forced in there just for what I was just talking about, that there's 2 critter eggs. We need more than 2 critters. So they force this shit in there. One of them gets on a computer and finds like an old document of a doctor on this spaceship that they're on. And this doctor was doing research and like experiments on different alien organisms to try to increase the rate of reproduction. And then they ended up like doing something that makes the critters like reproduce as rapid as you can imagine, and they're just super fuck bunnies, I guess, and they make critters like really, really fast. That's their way of getting more than those 2 critters onto the spaceship, and I don't really buy it. So Bernie / Leo Johnson ends up going to the pharmacy because I said he don't believe in the critters. And he starts stealing a bunch of medication, pills and shit. He's just taking stacks of bottles, throwing it into a bag. And then the critters attack him. And again, like in Critters 3, and I'd imagine they use the same puppets filming these two movies back to back. They look fine. But goddamn is this movie slow. There is nothing that goes on in this movie. Not even Brad Dourif, Angela Bassett, and Leo Johnson from Twin Peaks could save this movie. This is so bad. Like, this is the movie. This is the one in the franchise. We're at the 50-minute mark. There's like a half hour left. This is bad. Even the dialogue is fine because the acting is good for the most part here. But the script, again, that's the biggest issue with both of these movies, 3 and 4. The scripts are awful. They are so terrible that it's getting hard for me to finish this movie. And that doesn't happen often. This movie gets so out there. So the critters are breeding now. And the critters, first of all, when Charlie says that he's from Earth and everything, and tells about his past, and he says, the year, they say, because he says that's going to be next year. And he says, Charlie, you've been floating around out there for half a century. We're nowhere near Earth. That's what that fucker says, the younger dude. We are nowhere near Earth. But yet the critters, after there's a whole batch of eggs from when they bred sometime in the past, the eggs hatch, the critters get on a spaceship and they go for the nearest inhabited planet, which is Earth. Oh, I don't want to hear that the nearest planet with life on it is Earth, yet the younger dude told Charlie we're nowhere near Earth. Also, side note, because you can't find this fucking movie anywhere. They won't give this away. I mean, you could buy it or rent it on Amazon. Besides that, it ain't streaming anywhere. So I gotta watch it on Look Movie on the laptop. But I had Terrifier on earlier, because I haven't seen the original in probably a year or so when I did a video on it. And I'm so used to hitting play for the TV when I'm recording these videos, not starting the movie on the laptop, that I keep hitting Terrifier, and then I'm pissed at myself that I should have done the Terrifier Revisited instead of Critters 4. Also, just to make it worse for the crew and to put a time limit on shit, the computer, remember the computer Angela, who you gotta speak the opposite to for her to, complete her commands? She ends up announcing, and I don't know why she announces it, nobody asked. But maybe that's why she said it. Because no one asked. Someone asked her, she wouldn't tell you. But she starts saying that there's a radiation leak and they only got a few hours before the spaceship gets critical. Now, did I miss something? Most likely 100%. Why can't they just get on their spaceship and leave this big spaceship? Why are they dealing with any of this? Is there an explanation for that out there? Did I miss something where their spaceship, blew up when they landed here on this one, or it got destroyed, or it doesn't work in some way? Because I didn't see any of that, hear any of that, or remember any of that. So why don't they just get on the ship and leave? So Ugg shows up, which he was the overlord from earlier, is demanding the capsule. But they call him Tesla or something like that. So they don't call him Ugg, so I had no idea it was him. This movie is so bad in just the nothing happens department. It could drive you to drink. I literally just made a very stiff drink to get through the last half hour of this movie. That's how bad the boredom is. I've been actually counting. You see the spots on the wood? All up there. Throughout the whole room. I've been counting some of the wood spots instead of paying attention to this movie. This is how boring this film is. I'm kind of shocked. The baby critters, they look cool, though. That's what I mean. This isn't a bad movie. It's not a terrible film. That's the distinction I always try to make with movies. It's boring as all hell. I wouldn't wish this upon my worst enemy. Watch it sit through this movie. That's how boring it is. But it's not a bad movie. I mean, the acting's good. I've named the cast several times. They all do a good job. The puppets look fine. The kills aren't great. I mean, that's not a highlight of the series anyway, but you don't really get anything good here. It is a little darker than at least the last two and three. But since nothing happens throughout the whole movie, basically, it doesn't matter if it's darker or not. If anything, this movie needed more comedy in it to at least make you laugh a bit. Like, the ship setting looks fine. Like, I'm reaching for anything that'll reach its hand back out, like, to give positives to. But it's not a terribly made film. It's not a bad movie. But the quality drop, even from 3 to this one, is astronomical for me. Oh, thank God it's over. So, Ugg, for some reason, / Tesla, whatever his name is in this, he's a bad guy now, because then Charlie at the end, he shoots him, kills Ugg, so he's gone. Then the whole space station explodes, which should render the critters completely extinct. But we have a Critters 5. I can't wait to see how they bring the critters back from extinction in the next movie. Unless it's a prequel. I didn't look into any of that. Easily could do that. But God, I'm not looking forward to that one. But Fran, Angela Bassett, the younger dude, and Charlie, they survive. They take off in the Ugg spaceship right when the big-ass spaceship explodes. And they just fly into space and head to Earth. Which they said before, is nowhere near them. But it seems like super close compared to the way he made it sound. Critters 4... absolute train wreck of a movie. The script is god-awful. It's just a boring movie. That's like the only word to describe it, is a boring film. Because there are some positives here. But not enough to ever sit through this again. Like, I don't care if someone offered me $1 billion. I would absolutely take that money to watch it again. But if someone offered me like 100, it would be hard to accept that money to watch this movie again. That's how boring this film was. So, Critters 5 next. Alright, everybody, wherever you're from, hope you're having a good morning, afternoon, or night. I'll talk to you soon. Take care, guys. Because it would extinct. And he gets cryogenically frozen. Charlie accidentally crawls into the space pod. And he gets cryogenically frozen. Like, he just chills there. Like a state police officer. Actually, if you think about it, this is pretty much identical to Jason Goes... And I swear I'm not making this up. Butt ram. He says, please. Captain Rick Butt ram. Charlie ends up getting into the space pod, stupidly. And I'm not making this up, I swear to you. Butt ram. Who would name a character that? Okay. Captain Rick Butt. And then Captain Butt Ram, he's starting again. And he's running around and pushing Butt Ram. No, he is Butt Ram.